This is the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvine. This is part two of a three-part series called Rise Together. I gathered 8 industry leaders and myself to create a panel to really break down what are 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs doing in their life and in their business in order to pivot during this season of uncertainty, to really make sure that we're serving our people well and serving our families well, and making sure we're taking care of ourselves and adjusting to what's the new normal. And if you didn't catch last week's episode, we'll link it here in the podcast notes. I'd really encourage you to catch last week's. We had myself, Jennifer Allwood, and Rachel McMichael. This week up, we have Christina John Dolly from Deliver Your Genius, Erin Sanderson from Fit Rock Chick, and Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income, all breaking down what they're doing in their business, in their life, with their kids during this COVID season with the uncertainty in the economy. And I'm just blessed to bring this to you. I really wanted to be able to serve you with looking behind the scenes, real and raw, and this is what we're up to the best of our ability as we know life as it exists right now. So grab some pen and paper and get ready to take some amazing notes. And here we go. Christina, why don't you jump on?
Hey guys, my name is Christina Jandelli. Actually in Vancouver, BC, in Canada, and I'm the founder of deliveryourgenius.com. And I help online entrepreneurs, coaches, course creators create an engaged, profitable Facebook group and building community. And I think it's really about humanizing business, right? Really bringing things back to the basics and true connection with our with our tribes. And I think really that's like coming from a place of service for being here for you guys to do today as well. And that my background used to be in finance. So I used to be in the financial markets through 9/11, through 2008 market crash. I saw my net worth I had created. I became a millionaire in my mid-20s and I lost just about all of it. I went through a divorce, the stock market crashed, real estate markets crashed, and I had to go through a whole reinvention. And I get when these moments, these things come up and it can be really scary of the unknown, but I'm such a firm believer in these moments. We have the opportunity to be able to create new experiences, to create opportunities, to step into the things that we've been putting off, that we haven't been paying attention to step into our calling, to step into like this purpose that we're really driven towards. And I really want to invite you to know that, this too shall pass. And I have no idea when, and I don't have the crystal ball for that. But what I do know is that it's coming together. It's connecting with each other. It's through community that we have the opportunity to rise above all of this. And I just think that Shannon, for pulling this together, because I think it really matters now, and how you show up matters today. And what you do today is going to be a reflection of where you're going to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, years from now. Is going to be a reflection of how you choose to show up today. And so it's not about hiding now. It's not about focusing on fear or scarcity, things that are coming. I know that what it feels like to be in that experience, and we're all impacted to some extent. But what I do know is what's possible on the other side. And I really want you to walk away from today with a feeling of hope, of possibility, of what it is that you can truly step into. And this is our opportunity to bring that faith out and operate from a place of full faith, of spreading the word of God, of the difference that we can make in the world. And I've been, in our company, we've been really leading from a place of service. Like, how can we make a bigger difference? We've been, I just finished a panel event where we brought in a number of experts, an event called Scaling for Leverage Profits. And then it was like opening it up. Let's share it. We're not even asking for email addresses. Like, let's get the word out and share this with people for where it is that they get to dive in and take some actions right now. We did a 24-hour sale on a product. 100% of the proceeds are going to go to feed children who were getting fed from schools, relying on, in underprivileged areas where they were getting fed at school. And with the self-isolation, they don't have the opportunity to be able to be fed. And it just warms my heart to see the opportunity. The way I looked at that is, some people may not have the opportunity to be able to financially contribute right now, and they have a need, and be able to give them back an opportunity to be able to help them in their business and let them have the sense of feeling that they are giving back as well, gives them the opportunity to step into that state of abundance and feeling like they're giving back. And it has a ripple effect on the work that we do, the people that we impact, and the people that they get to serve as well. So those have been a couple of the things that we've been doing in the company to really serve. And I think one of the, and as much as we have these moments of thinking, okay, what are we going to change? What are the tangible things that we can really help support people? How do you pivot the conversation to enter the conversation? And the worst thing you can do right now is to be quiet. The worst thing you can be to do now is to not share your voice. You have a voice. And it is your opportunity right now to say the things that are on your heart, to say the things that you're feeling called to share, to serve in a way that you've never served before. It's your opportunity to really be called forward and to be able to serve and to break down the barriers of disconnection. And I think this online space, we've been at like a massive pivot in the online space where people don't want to feel disconnected to, big gurus online. They want to feel like they're part of it. They want to feel like they're heard. They want to feel like they're connected. And it's time to break down the walls of the barriers of disconnection. I mean, you think about before leading into this, you go to a restaurant and you see families and everyone's on their iPads and their phones. They're not even talking to each other. There's no communication. And so when we look at the opportunity of being here now, we're forced to be in connection with our families and our loved ones. Like, we're on lockdown. We're forced to be able to, with homeschooling and stuff, as parents, we are having the biggest opportunity to reconnect with our children in a bigger way than we haven't been able to before. We have the opportunity to speak to people, like just a humanizing conversation. I've been hopping on calls and just chatting with people and learning what's going on with them, just so that I can be in tune with what's going on. What's going on in my world is my world, but I want to know what's going on in everyone else's world. And so it's about time that, whether you're just getting started in business and you're like, well, I'm, you might be thinking, oh, if I have time to talk to people, what are people going to think of me? Or they're going to think that I'm not big enough or good enough or have enough yet, right? Like, let's get rid of those stories, because we are pivoting and moving to a place in the marketplace where connection is more important than ever. People want to feel like you know them, you hear them, you get them. And so the way that you show up now, and notice that this is a message that's getting woven through everyone that's speaking today, the way that we show up now is going to have a huge impact on how people are going to remember you and how you're leaving people feeling today. So now more than ever is a place of service, of giving back, of gratitude, of appreciation, of showing up, of being the word. And I also think, as Rachel was talking about earlier, taking a look at, okay, where are some things that I don't need to be spending right now that just like, you go through your visa statements and you're like, oh, I got to call them about that. I got to cancel this. And they're like, you keep putting it off. Right now is the time to be able to do that. But here's the thing, you guys, it's also time. And this is, and coming from the financial background that I have, I'm like, the moment of mass panic is the moment to double down. And I'm telling you this, double down with your time, double down with your money when it comes to investing and marketing and back in your business, investing in the market. And no one has a crystal ball to know when the perfect time is. There's, hindsight, hindsight's great afterwards. Like, oh, I should have done it then. But the way that I look at it, and I always look at this from an investing approach, and same with business, is like, okay, what is it that you get to put out there? And breaking it down into thirds. Okay, like this is the, when it comes to investing in the market, it's like, okay, we'll put a third in now, and then we're going to do that later. So how do you get to do that with your marketing dollars, with what it is that you're doing? Because people are shutting down. Our ad spend has dropped significantly because people they want to tune in, they want to get information. So be the light, be the information, be the person that is creating that hope in space. And again, no one has the perfect answer. We're all here together. We're all figuring this out. We're all navigating this. We don't know how fast we're going to move through this, but I really do believe that if you're leading from a place of service, if you're really giving yourself quiet space in this time as well, not to binge, and we have those moments, I've had those moments too, so I'm not talking about that, but I mean really true quiet space of prayer, quiet space of just allowing yourself to be and be fully connected, and listening to what it is that you need to hear, listening to what you're being called to do, and trusting it, and trusting to get out of your own way to lead that charge, because you are here because you are a leader. You are here because you have a calling. You are here because you know that there's something that you're being pulled towards, and you know what it is if you give yourself the space to get quiet. And you may already know what it is, but now's the time to really fully step into your gifts and get out there in a bigger way and double down with your time and your effort and your energy. And the way that I've been saying to my audience as well, extend the free line. Like serve as much as you can possibly serve and extend the free line. I'm not saying don't I'm not saying shut down business and don't be making sales. I'm not saying don't be making offers, but extend the free line. Help people move through the challenges that they're having right now and see the possibility that gives back. We did a campaign where we were sharing the Scaling for Leverage Profits event that we did. And we just said, no opt-in, just like, let's just share, spread the message. And we started seeing a bunch of sales for people coming in that wanted to buy the all access pass. It wasn't the intention. That was not the intention whatsoever. And when we operate from a place of service and true generosity, opportunities open up. Opportunities open up, and we can't see what's on the other side of it. But if you operate from that place, I promise you're going to start to see opportunities, how one thing might lead to another. And even if it feels like there's a door closed in front of you right now, you don't know where it's going to lead. I remember when I first started my business, I was going to go to meetup groups, and I'm like, I'm going to show up in these meetup groups. I show up at this meetup group, or I decide to host a meetup group. And the first meetup group, I had one person show up. I hosted in my living room. I'm like, wow, one person was there. That's great. The second one I did, there was 6 people there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, I'm a loser. This sucks. No one wants to listen to me. This isn't working. What am I going to do? But I showed up and I served. And one of the people that was in that room introduced me to someone that had me speak in front of a room of over 200 people. And it completely filled out my first group coaching program that I put together. I could never have imagined God's plan for me in doing that, but I showed up in a place of service. And I promise you, if you're showing up for a place of service and you're open to where it leads, opportunities are going to open up. But guess what? You got to act on them. You've got to act on those opportunities that open up and step into that. And so I really want to leave you with, coming from this place of service, talk to your people, listen to what they're saying. They're going to tell you what they need. They're going to tell you what they need right now. Enter the conversation that's going on with them right now and show up and serve them in a way that they're asking for. Now is not the time to be thinking, this is what I want to be doing. This is what I want to give people. It's like, what do they want? What do they want? And so give them what it is that they want. So you're extending the free line, you're serving, and you're being the word, being the word of God, being the word of what you feel called to do. And I promise you that if you continue to show up that way and continue to serve, opportunities are going to open up for you. And as they start to open up, it's amazing how fast it really has this ripple effect. And what you do today makes a difference, and it's going to show up for tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So many ahas and breakthroughs as all the panelists have been talking so far. All right, Erin.
Hi guys, my name is Erin Sanderson. You might know me as Fit Rocker Chick in social media. I've been a touring musician my entire life, played with acts like Evanescence, Hailstorm, Candlebox, and as a songwriter, written songs featured on Keeping Up with the Kardashians and MTV. When I realized life on the road was not for me, or for a stable marriage, I had to pivot. And since then, I have learned how to be a CEO and run multiple businesses. I'm currently the CEO of my own non-toxic skincare line called Skin. I run an incredible membership community. I like to call it a girl gang. It's called the She's a Rock Chick Girl Gang, where my focus is really helping women to step into who they've wanted to be all along. I don't have a favorite verse. A lot of times people ask me, just to be clear, I love rock and roll, I love tequila, and also Jesus. I need so much Jesus, okay? And like I said, I don't have a favorite verse, but I do have a favorite phrase in the Bible, and I think it's so fitting for right now, and it's just this: but God. You know, anything. Things aren't going well, but God. There's a Rona virus. I like to call it Rona. It's just more fun. The Rona virus, but God. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just lost my job, but God. And then there's always a comma after that. And after the comma, that's what matters. So it's not the first part. That's not what matters. It's but God, comma, bam. And that's what I'm focused on right now. And that's what I'm trying to help everyone else focus on right now. So great leaders always think outside the box all the time. And maybe you got comfortable in your business, and that's fine. But now is the time to innovate. And that can be very exciting. This can be very exciting. This can be exactly what you need. It's just a change of perspective. So right now, people are watching us. They're watching leaders. They're watching us, and they're looking for hope, and they're looking for sanity, and they're looking for stability. And that is what we can do. We can give hope, we can give sanity, and we can bring stability no matter what. Right now, as business owners, we are always looking for ways to truly help, to build long-term, lifelong loyalty. And guess what just got dropped in your lap? That exact thing. The opportunity to truly, truly help people and build lifelong loyalty. Do you know what they're going to remember when all this passes? Because it will. They're going to remember how you showed up and how you made them feel. That's it. That's what they're going to remember. And there's going to be restaurants with 2-hour waits, and there are going to be people lining up to work with you based on what you do right now. I'm not saying you can't be sad. I'm not saying you can't cry a little bit. I'm not even saying you can't have ice cream and like have a few pajama days. But the fact of the matter is this is an opportunity if you choose to see it that way. And we're all grown-ups here, and it's not going to be because of our service necessarily that people come to us in the future. It's going to be because of our character and because of how we rise up to truly serve them right now. In addition to that, I saw an influencer say the other day, it's just so hard to know what to do right now. Do I keep going? Do I stop? And I was like, I'm sorry. What now? No, guys. You might feel a little bit like the wind got. How does that go? Wind got out of your sails, knocked out of you, something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying. You might feel a little like that, but you don't have to. People might freak out, but you don't have to. You get to choose how you respond. Okay. So here are some things. And by the way, if you're a photographer or you are a boutique owner or restaurant owner, I've got so many ideas. I'm like dying. I'm like, someone who's a photographer, ask me what to do right now because I'm like dying. I have so many ideas. But here's what we're doing as a company, as a business. Right now, what we're doing is we are focusing, as Brian said, on so much service, just so much service. And I'm not expecting anything in return. I just want to. And that's how you know you're in the right business for you. Like you're in the right spot. Like Rachel said, you've been called, is you just can't help it. You're like, please ask me. I want to help so badly. So we're focused on, right now we're doing weekly giveaways of our products to nurses, first responders, truck drivers. So let me pamper you with some skincare and shout out your favorite nurse, shout out the nurses in your life, shout out the first responders in your life because you're grateful, not because you're afraid. And that's been really, really cool and really exciting. Also, my team and I are doing as much as we can to bring awareness to local businesses. What I mean by that is people really don't understand how to help. When things change and the climate changes, loyal clients and customers, they're not sure. How do we help you stay afloat? Money's like a river. Got to keep it flowing, right? That's what we do. So I've reached out to a dozen local businesses in my area, and I'm focused on how can I help you specifically? How can I use my platform to help your clients and customers and more people in the area understand how they can support you? What that does is it creates a sense of community. And then when all this passes, there's a deeper sense of community. It creates community within businesses. It creates community within people virtually. It just shows people how we can continue to support companies and businesses. I'm also doing a first month free offer into my Girl Gang. Why am I doing this? I am doing a free month into my membership because I just want to give people a, mayhem-free place to be. That's it. Like, I just wanted people to have a place to go where they don't have to see the news. They don't have to, listen to all the drama. It's not hectic. It's calm. It's people sharing what's working and how they're stepping into who they want to be, even right now. Because quite frankly, guys, now is the time that whoever you wanted to be all along, that person that you wished you were, now is your opportunity. Now is the time. And then another tactic that I'm using is humor, because humor makes people feel good. And I'm really, really aware and focused on how I want people to feel. When they see me, I want them to breathe a sigh of relief. When they come on my feed or my website or on one of my lives, I want them to be like, oh, I can let go of all the stress. I can let go of it all. Now, does that help me in my business? Maybe not now, but it will. My focus is on helping them, truly helping them. And sometimes that just means helping them laugh. So I'm every email that I send out is starting with a very funny story. Like The other day, my mom called me because she was very upset she couldn't go out on St. Patrick's Day. And when I opened the FaceTime, she was wearing a sequin green beret and flashing green Mardi Gras beads and green gloves. And I'm like, what is happening right now? But I wanted to share these funny stories so people can laugh at home. I think that's very, very important. And so I am trying to keep my content very relevant because it's insensitive. I want people to feel heard and understood and like I'm with them. But also I just have to make people laugh. It's so on my heart to do that, just make people feel something good right now. Okay, that's it. That's all I got.
I love it so much. I love it so much. And she does. She keeps me laughing so hard. I'd love to go to Pat.
My name is Pat Flynn. I started my business in 2008 after getting laid off in a very similar environment to what we're feeling today. And I was not prepared for it either. And although that was a tough time in my life and I fell into a state of depression during that moment, coming out of it, I had huge opportunities that I never knew were even there. And I was able to build a business and several more since then coming out of that recession. So I know it might be very difficult for many of you. I'm here to be a voice of somebody who's gone through this before on the other end and very much reminded of those times. My business currently, I have several. My main website where most people know me from is called smartpassiveincome.com. In addition to that, there's a podcast, a blog, and all resources to help entrepreneurs of all levels there. In addition to that, I have an invention that is, a physical product business. I have a software company, a coaching company, and a few other things going on. A lot of irons in the fire, which are being affected all today because of what's happening. And I'm here to provide a resource as well for those of you who have businesses or don't, to see how we're going to manage the situation together. So again, Pat Flynn, and you can find me on YouTube as well. Going live every morning there too. So again, reminds me of 2008 quite a bit. Obviously, recession and unknowns, all for a different reason, obviously. But for those of you who came in late, I was laid off from my dream job in 2008. And I remember the moment specifically, June 17th, 2008, my boss calls me into his office and I had worked so hard. I'd done all the things I was supposed to do. Everything was going so well. And then just in an instant, I was told I was going to be let go. And I was very upset. That was my first reaction, getting angry, getting upset, trying to blame people, blaming myself, wondering if I did things incorrectly, worried about what my family was going to say, what were my parents going to say, all these sort of things that I was making up in my head, stories that were untrue that I was just telling myself and then starting to believe. Because when you tell yourself something over and over and over again, whether it's true or not, it becomes true and you start living it. And I know you preach that quite often, Shannon. And I fell into a little bit of a hole. I sat in bed for 3 weeks straight. I watched Back to the Future about 60 times. That's partly why it's my favorite movie, because that made me feel so comfortable. It made me hope that I could one day actually get into a DeLorean, go back into the past and change things. But obviously after the 1 minute and 1 hour, 37 minutes of that movie, then I'd come back to reality and I couldn't go back into time. And so I just fell back into the movie again and just had this sort of downward spiral. And it wasn't until I finally got some hope from others that things did finally to change. And getting inspiration from others is key no matter where you're at, which is why I'm, again, grateful to be here, to be on the other side of it this time and give back as much as I can. But then I started to think about the movie, right? Back to the Future. We can't go back into the past, change things, and then come back to the present and everything will be different. If only that were possible, right? But it's not. But there is some truth to that fictional story. The truth is, well, we might not be able to go back into the past and change what happens present day, but we can change what is happening in the present day and the things we can control to write the story that we're going to live in the future. So it was when that realization happened, when I started to see this as an opportunity instead of sort of a downfall, that really started, things started to happen. 3 things that I really am trying to practice right now related to that story back then and how just everything started to kind of come back into my life at that point. Number 1 is practicing gratefulness. Every single day I wake up and I remind myself what I do have. I remind myself about the things that I can control. And I do remind myself that I have things. And to practice that every single day is an amazing practice that I've learned years back. I meditate as well, just to kind of clear my head because there's a lot of noise up there for sure. 10 minutes a day is all I need, but everybody's different. But practicing gratefulness is huge. Number 2, going back to my story in '08, I used my layoff as an excuse for everything. Oh, I'm not going to eat well. I got laid off. I'm not going to exercise. I got laid off. And I think a lot of people might fall into that hole now of using the coronavirus, as Erin said, as an excuse. Oh, well, this stuff's going around, or I can't go to my favorite restaurant to buy healthy food. So I'm just going to, eat junk food all the time. Using it as an excuse is very dangerous. Instead, we're going to flip it on its head. And like what has been said many times, well, what might make this, what might be possible now as a result of this? And a lot of us are finding a lot of time to do things that perhaps we were wanting to do before, but just didn't have the time to do, or really no excuse to do. But now we got that light lit up under us to go and do these things. I also think on the family front, this does provide a lot of opportunities that may not have been possible as well. I think in some regards, it's slowing people down in a way where they can begin to rekindle those relationships that may have just been sort of surface level for so long. And that's what I'm encouraging a lot of people to do as well. I'm doing that with my own family and other connections. I'm trying to reach out to old friends to rekindle those relationships because we just move so fast daily that we forget about those opportunities. One thing that I'm recommending people do is go into your text messages, scroll all the way to the bottom, and rekindle those relationships with those people that you haven't reached out to in a long time. Because likely we could all use an old friend to kind of come back. And who knows, you might start up some great conversations so that when you come out of this, maybe you can have the opportunity to meet with them again in person and have those relationships again that were lost before. On the business side of things, we are working so hard. I've actually never worked so hard in my life. And I think it's partly because I know what it's like on the other side, and I and the business are doing so much to help people in need right now that we are just leaning into that. So we're doing a lot. We created a resource page. This is something we could all do. We created a sort of ad hoc emergency resource page for people with just all the things that we found that we've created, that we have in our archive, that we know our friends are doing, and just putting all into one spot. One of the things I love to teach people is to be not necessarily an expert creator. Sometimes when we feel like we have to be the expert at something, we feel like we're disqualified, that we're not good enough. However, what people need now also is curation. You can be an expert curator, filters out all the noise for people and becomes somebody who then puts it onto, for example, a page to then help people find exactly what they need. And that's sort of what we're leaning into. And we all have that capability of being a curator creator. I like that term, but it's hard to say, so I'm not using it very often. So curation for your people can be really key. And also always coming from a place of service and showing up, trying to provide some normalcy for people. One thing that I have started to do is go live on YouTube every morning, 8 a.m. And I've committed to doing this every day, even on the weekends, as long as we are in this sort of state of the world. And it's been really fun. It's been really neat. Also, as a byproduct, I have gotten really good at it. And I've always sort of moved away from it because I wasn't good at it before. It's almost taken this to lean into it, to realize I'm actually pretty okay at going live and using tools and having the ability to, create a laugh track in the middle of a conversation and understand how to manage all those kinds of things. Like I can do things that I didn't know I could do because I'm almost trying new things that I never tried before. And that's been really neat. But it's also been great to see the same people show up every day and thank me for just, being something that they could look forward to. Because I think that we all get used to the routine. We fall in love with the routine. And that routine is flipped on its head. There is no routine for people anymore. And we all have the capability to show up and become routine for people. And again, coming from that place of service. So that showing up for my audience, showing up for my team as well. This was an idea that one of my team members had. Hey, let's have a happy hour every Friday. So that at the end of the week, we can just come online virtually and have a drink or have a soda and just chat. Like no business, just come together. Let's have a happy hour together and end the week on a high note together and support each other here. I'm encouraging people to lean into content creation. This is your moment to lean into that and to also lean into learning. All the things that you've probably wanted to do for a while that you didn't have an excuse for before because you don't have time or you didn't have time. Likely there are moments in the day now that you could fit that in. I know it's different for everybody, especially with kids at home now. I have 2 young kids and we're leaning into that as well. My wife's April's been doing an amazing job homeschooling them and very much leaving it up to them to create their own schedules, which is something we learned from the school that they were in. It's sort of like getting your kids to cook their own food, but then having them put vegetables in there. They're going to be more likely to eat it because they're the ones creating it. So we're actually giving them options, almost like a whole menu of things they can do, but they get to create their own schedule. And that's been really fun because they feel like they own that. And when you feel like you own something, you're more likely to do it. And that very much gave credit to April and the school that they're in. Transparency is really key here. If you have a team, hope is great. But false hope, when you are just saying things without all the facts, can lead to that depression state that I felt in 2008. And the reason why I was so angry at my boss was because I was told everything was going to be okay. And when I was told everything was going to be okay, I planned that everything was going to be okay. And then when it got swept out under me, then I was left sort of falling without anything to lean on. So that transparency is key, but also part of that transparency can be, hey, I'm doing everything in my power to keep this going, to keep us running. I may have to cut hours. I may have to make some hard decisions, but I want to keep you informed the entire way because I owe that to you. I respect you enough to do that. And I think that's absolutely important. I only wish that was found. And then in terms of my kids and how I'm trying to show up for them, I can't remember where I heard this, but I once heard that, in times of crisis, you will always find the helpers. Find the helpers. And I want to show up as an example for my kids, which is why I'm very transparent with them. Hey guys, I'm going live to hundreds of people. I'm going to be in my office, but here's why I'm doing it. Here's how we're helping people by doing so. So may I have your permission to go in this room and help and serve these people? And of course, they're excited about that. And to lead by example in that way, I think encourages them to find ways that they can help others too. And they've been asking questions also about how they can help. They've been wanting to go to other friends' houses and help clean their houses and stuff. And, unfortunately we can't do that, but like by leading by example, kids are sponges. They want to do what you do. So that very much is important to me. And then to finish up, I want to end with sort of, this thing related to giving things away for free. I think that's important. I think if you have the ability to do that, lean into that, extend the free line. Absolutely. Which is what Christina was saying. However, at the same time, also realize that people are still buying. That we were in the middle of a launch when all this went down, and we did have to change our marketing messaging. We did have to change our position, but we did not retreat. We said very transparently, hey, this stuff is happening. We are in the middle of a launch. So we're going to be reducing the amount of emails that we're sending you. We still feel there's value here. And plus we're teaching you how to start a podcast, and we feel there's an opportunity, but we don't want to be tone deaf to the situation. So if this is for you, awesome. If not, no worries. We will honor the bonuses and the discount that's happening during this launch later. Whenever you feel comfortable, reach back out to us and we'll honor that for you. And people replied and felt so good about that. They loved not feeling the pressure. And I think that's the big thing that we have to worry about, especially as marketers. It's like, how do we balance ourselves on this line of, yes, there's opportunity, but also we want to be mindful at the same time. And I think if you just read your emails and read them out loud and read them with your team, you can understand what that tone might be before you hit send. So my biggest piece of advice would be to be grateful and look at this as an opportunity. Yes, times are tough. And so this is an awesome opportunity to see where we might be able to cut expenses. And we found, a few $1,000s a month that we didn't need. This is the time to lean in. And I bet, I would imagine that after this crisis, businesses are going to come out much stronger because they're going to know how to run their businesses on a much leaner budget. They're going to know how to create systems and get more out of fewer hours. And how amazing an opportunity that is when we come out on the other end of this. So I just want to encourage you, and hopefully we can continue to stay connected after this. So I don't know, that was a lot of stuff. I wrote stuff down so it was organized, but it wasn't that organized when I shared it. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for having me here. And, I'm going to be going live every day, 8 a.m. on YouTube. And it's just a beautiful thing that people can feel like they have something to look forward to, because I think that a lot of people don't know what's going to happen. But if they know something's happening every day, and if you show up for them, well, at least they have that. And so there you go.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Yeah. And morning, night, he's going live all over the place. And that voice of support and that voice of we're in this together, and I'm going to be able to serve you with not staying stuck. Wow. Super powerful. So many takeaways, so many good things in this episode with Christina, with Erin, and with Pat. I hope this series is really, really quenching your spirit in terms of feeling like you're in a mastermind with us and we're just chatting about what's going on. In our next series, we're going to skip a week. Next week, we have the one and the only Michael Hyatt talking all about a vision-driven leader and what an important time it is to be a vision-driven leader as an entrepreneur in your space. I mean, this is when becoming the visionary leader is so vital. So I'm looking forward to next week's episode with Michael Hyatt. Make sure you join us. And then the week after that, we'll be back with part 3 of the Rise Together series. That's what I have for you this week. Bye for now.